Tim, I don't understand why you have to go, a former untrained actor. I'm not untrained.
You said on Fox that you'd be that you would, if they sent you in, you'd be happy to jump out of a truck and go apprehend people. So if you show up at the door of someone's home as an ICE agent, which you're an ICE agent now, do you know what rights they have?
I'm not an ICE agent yet.
Oh, okay. You don't know the job. That's why it's negative. It's nothing.
You don't know that I don't know the job. You're just assuming. Did you know I was a law enforcement officer?
I just asked you, do you know what migrants' rights are? If you show up to someone's house as an ICE agent, do you know what rights they have?
You know, guys, in 20 or 30 years from now, when people look back on this moment in history, they are not going to judge us too kindly, especially with what Immigration and Customs Enforcement is currently doing. They are rolling into communities, masks up. They are stripping away due process rights. They are racially profiling people. It is going to go down as a blatant violation of human rights. It's going to be a stain on this country's history. And if you're somebody that is supporting that movement, you should be judged harshly. And I think one of the stranger things that I'm currently witnessing right now is that we now have somebody who used to play Superman on TV. He is voluntarily signing up to join this movement. He is signing up to be part of this agency that is dehumanizing and otherizing people. And he recently went on Piers Morgan to discuss his role in ICE with Tim Miller. And it was pretty illuminating because it really doesn't seem like he truly understands what is going on with the immigrant population right now. He really doesn't seem to understand what this administration is currently engaged in. Just listen to him here talk about how the United States of America is the most friendly to the immigrant community. I'm not even joking. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
The United States is the most immigrant-friendly, by far, country on this planet. We have over 50 million immigrants. Tim, just look at the numbers. More than the next 4 countries combined. We also let in 1 million people legally every single year. I don't think we really disagree that much. I'm sorry, if you said something, I couldn't hear it.
I'm just saying not anymore. That's not what we're doing now under Donald Trump. I'm glad you like the immigrants are welcomed here, but right now we're going to have negative net migration. Negative.
Well, you're predicting something that isn't quite there,
What the fuck are you talking about, Dean Cain? You want to say that the United States of America is the most friendly to immigrants than any other country in the world, but the Trump administration right now is rounding people up and shipping them out of the country. He's taking people who are in this country legally, people with temporary protected status, people with other legal status to stay in this country, and then he's revoking that legal status and making them undocumented immigrants overnight. And now he is sicking his ICE agency after these people. This is not what I would call a friendly environment to the immigrant community. You are living in the past, bro. The United States of America should be the friendly environment for the immigrant community like you're talking about. But the Trump administration has done away with all of that. We are supposed to be a melting pot. That's part of what makes America so great. But this administration has tossed all of that out the window. You are living in a fantasy land, my brother. So let's go ahead and move on to this clip where he doesn't seem to quite understand that a lot of these immigrants, there's nuance as to why they might still be undocumented. How paperwork and all of the bureaucratic mess that is in our immigration system could play a role as to why they find themselves as an undocumented immigrant in this country.
Where would you draw the line in terms of who you would allow to stay and who you would deport?
Well, it sounds like you agree on policy but disagree on tactics. On tactics and the way they're doing it. The way they're rolling in. Usually... No, I don't, because I don't agree with deporting everyone who's in the country undocumented. Do you? Everyone who's in the country undocumented? Well, that is not my decision to make.
Okay, I just want to pause it here because I did forget to mention that Piers Morgan is absolutely right here. He is saying that how this administration is treating undocumented immigrants, it's just completely un-American. You got ICE rolling into these communities with their masks on. They're rolling into Home Depots. They're rolling into the fashion district. They're picking people up who are just trying to do their jobs instead of going after the criminals like they promised you that they would do. So Piers Morgan is absolutely right in calling this shit out. This is un-American. And so, as you saw here, he's being asked, well, okay, well, where would you draw the line? Should we really be rolling into Home Depots and picking up those immigrants, the people who are trying to contribute to our society? Is that really the American thing to do? And he tries to flake out here by saying, oh, well, I don't really make the policies, but let's see how he continues.
But I know that if you're in any other country
No, but what's your opinion?
undocumented, my opinion is if you're here illegally,
What's your opinion, Dave?
I'm trying to give it to you. If you're here illegally, you should have gone through steps to legalize your status. And there's been countless opportunities to do that. There has been tons and tons of opportunities to do that.
How does Dean Cain know that? How does he know that each and every undocumented immigrant in this country has been given the proper opportunity to go through the legal process? How does he know that? How is he so confident in making that statement? Our immigration system is broken. Our asylum system is broken. That is why the Biden administration tried to fix it near the end of his presidency. And Donald Trump called up the Republicans and said, I want you to block this bill. We were trying to address some of these issues. We were trying to address the broken asylum system. It just makes no sense that these people have no understanding of what is actually going on at the southern border. Like we've talked about many times before, it's not that everybody was allowed in the country, unvetted, all just open the floodgates. It was, no, they were taking advantage of an asylum system that is broken. And because we had experienced the COVID-19 pandemic, there was pent-up demand at the southern border. So no matter who was president, we were going to see an increase in those asylum cases. People started to understand that, oh, I can just present myself at the border and I can claim asylum. And by American law, we have to hear their case. Dean Cain doesn't seem to understand any of that.
And you know you broke the law when you came here. It's the same as in any other country. You've got to find a way to legalize yourself or self-deport, or else ICE will come and they will deport you.
Okay, Timothy, your response to that?
And this is crazy, what he's saying, and I disagree with the tactics and the policy. The tactics have been, again, brutal. I think that Dean Cain wants to turn the country into something that looks more like an authoritarian country. We have negative people coming in, people going out. We have people in masks. Look, Dean was on Fox the other night, and Jesse Waters asked him, will you hop out of ICE vans and start apprehending guys? And Dean said he'd be willing to do that. This is crazy. This is not a TV show. Like, this is real life. The idea that somebody who is not trained would join ICE and join these guys that are putting on masks and jumping out of U-Hauls at a Home Depot and nabbing people, it's a horrible policy. It is un-American. It is not how we should treat people. It does not show a respect for individual rights in a free country. And the policy itself of deporting these people of deporting everybody that is here undocumented is a crazy policy. It would crush the economy. Donald Trump's even backtracking on this policy because his friends in the ag industry have called him and said, you can't deport our ag workers. And then on top of that, not only is the policy bad, and not only tactics un-American of these masked thugs jumping out and grabbing people, but ICE is screwing up over and over again. They don't need more agents. They certainly don't need more untrained actors as agents.
I'm just so glad that Tim Miller just called Dean Cain right out to his face. It seems to me like you want a more authoritarian country to come into play here. That seems like what you guys are vying for. And for Dean Cain to just sit there with that smug smirk on his face, like the little prick that he is, not really understanding what the fuck is going on here, it's just really disheartening. This is why I say history is not going to judge these people kindly. Dean Cain seems to be more than happy to jump out of a van with his mask on, violate somebody's due process rights, and try to ship them off to a gulag down in El Salvador, or ship them off to the alligator Auschwitz down in Florida, which is, it's just insane. These people are like cheering this shit on. It is disgusting. It is inhumane. It is unbecoming of a country that is supposed to stand for freedom. Now, I want to go ahead and move on to the next part of this conversation, because this is what really pisses me off about this whole thing, and we've talked about it ad nauseum on this channel. But these ICE agents, they're rolling into communities with masks on. And Tim Miller pushes back hard against the idea that we should be having a secret police here in the United States.
Two things I would say by way of response. One, I've not seen any evidence that people are going to be poorly trained to be ICE agents. They'll be recruited as they always have
so
been
far,
and trained. Well, but you're talking about trained ICE agents.
They keep grabbing people.
I don't think wearing masks. I don't think the. Yeah, but we all. But my second point was we all know why they're wearing masks.
Before Piers makes his next dumb point, to say that these people need to wear masks, or I'm sorry, we haven't got to that part yet. To say that he's seen no evidence of ICE not being trained very well, how could you even say something like that? We see them going around into these communities. They're raiding Home Depots. They're racially profiling people. They're jumping out of vans. They're tackling landscapers who are just trying to do their job out in front of the IHOP, and then beating them in the face for no apparent reason at all. Deploying brutality for no apparent reason at all. These are not the people who are respecting our rules and our laws. They're not respecting the dignity of every single human out there. A lot of these people aren't even fighting back, and they are still being brutalized by these ICE agents. So to say that you haven't seen any evidence that the training might not be so great over there is absolutely insane.
Because they're being doxxed left, right, and center on social media and having their lives threatened. Of course they are.
This is bullshit. This is bullshit. For starters, we have evidence ICE agents aren't being trained. It is. Really quick. Let's go back to George Redis. He arrived at work. He was a U.S. citizen. ICE agents surrounded his car. He identified himself as a U.S. citizen. They broke his window, pepper sprayed him, and dragged him out. He was in detention for 3 days. So we do have evidence that they're not being trained to respect people's rights. And on the masks, this is crazy. Do you know how many judges have been threatened? You know, if you're a judge and you have, there's a case that is happening, you're a prosecutor, and you're targeting a murder suspect, these guys have been threatened. There have been judges whose families have been threatened. Their lives have been threatened. There are a lot of people in public life who have been threatened.
Tim is absolutely right here. Just because you signed up for the ICE agency, you signed up to roll into communities and snatch people off the streets, that was a decision that you made. You are working on behalf of the people. You are employed by the federal government. There needs to be a level of transparency there. You don't just get to roll around with a mask, which just removes all accountability from any bad actions that you might partake in. That is not what we do here in America. And I really like the analogy or the point that Tim brought up here. We don't let our judges hide behind some secret door and make his rulings from there. No, these people need to present themselves in public. They sit up there on the bench, their face is exposed, because that is what you do in a civilized society. We have laws against people targeting judges, people targeting law enforcement. That is how we deal with it. We do not give these people carte blanche to do whatever the hell they want with a mask on. That is just not what you do in a free and fair society. These people have to be accountable to the people. We are paying these people with our tax dollars. They must be accountable.
You still don't get to wear a mask and be a secret judge. Not in a free country, you don't. I'm sure you get threatened. I'm sorry, if you're an agent of the government, if you're a representative of the people, you need to show your face and name yourself so that you have accountability. That is a totally reasonable ask. And so I have no sympathy.
Well, let me get Dean. All right, well, I'll get Dean to respond, but there is an irony, of course, that all the people who campaigned so aggressively for everyone to be masked during the COVID pandemic are now.
Have you ever heard these people make this comparison? It is the stupidest comparison that you could ever make. How are you comparing masked federal agents versus people who wore masks during a pandemic? What is the comparison here? When you give the state the power, the monopoly on violence, they must be accountable to the people. When you're talking about protesters, when you're talking about people going out there and wearing a mask because there is a global pandemic underway, these are not the same things. Even if you're out there protesting with a mask on, it is not the same thing because you do not hold the power of the state at your fingertips. That is why it is different, you dumbass.
Furious about the wearing of masks. Dean, your response.
Well, the reason, the unfortunate reason that they're masking up is because they are being doxxed. The attacks on ICE agents have gone up over 1,000%. Their families, you disagree with that stat?
We went over this stat a couple weeks back, and it turns out, I don't remember the numbers right off the top of my head, but it went from like 50, or no, maybe it was like 7 to like 70 assaults or interactions or violent interactions. It was very, very minor. It was, if I'm not mistaken, it was less than 100 cases of assault against these officers. That's why they used this 500%. Then they started saying 700%. Then we hear Dean Cain here saying 1,000%. They're trying to make it seem like it is an epidemic, like it's out of control, like these ICE agents are being harassed every single time they step out of their vehicle. That is just not the case. And one other thing that they don't mention is that they have upped their efforts for these mass deportations. So there are thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of more encounters than there was last year. So of course, we are going to see an uptick in violent altercations with these ICE agents, except it's not out of control like they would have you believe.
No, I'm sure that, but look, that's what I'm saying. I'm sorry, if you work for the federal government, you cannot be a secret agent that nabs people.
No, do you disagree with the stat? I asked you specifically.
Okay, I'm saying it doesn't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You still have to. You still can't be a secret thug cop in a free country. I'm sorry. You have to tell people.
They're not thug cops, and the fact that you're denigrating them and calling them these names and these things is part of the problem. And same thing with me standing up and joining ICE. You are going out there and you're villainizing. Let me finish my sentence, please. You're going out and you're villainizing myself. You're going out and you're villainizing these ICE agents who are trying to uphold the law. These are wonderful men and women. They shouldn't be attacked. Their families shouldn't be attacked. They're doing their job that Congress has given them the authority to do and written the laws for. If you don't like the laws, have Congress change them. We should be upset that all these congressmen aren't delivering a new legislation, a new legislative piece, talking about how these things should be dealt with. That should be the problem, but not doxing our ICE agents and not going down and just tearing them down and turning them into villains like many people have tried to do to me. They're not villains. These are wonderful people.
Dean Cain is just wrong here. Congress, our legislative bodies have not given ICE the okay to roll around this country, patrol the streets, snatch people off the streets, without their due process intact. That is not an agent or an agency that is following the laws. In fact, they are specifically breaking the laws. And I would bet that is why most of these thug agents, of these Gestapo-like agents, are wearing masks, because they know damn well that they are breaking the law. They know damn well that they aren't giving these people the due process that they are deserved. That's why they're wearing masks, because these people don't want to be held accountable when the next reasonable person comes into office. So Tim Miller is absolutely right here. If you are working on behalf of the federal government, if you have the power of the state at your fingertips, you don't get to go around this country wearing a fucking mask. It is not okay. These people need to be held accountable for their actions. And by allowing them to wear masks, you are incentivizing them to engage in bad behavior. I mean, just think about the trolls online, guys. They are more emboldened to say outrageous shit because they can stay anonymous behind their computer screen. We have seen this play out. We have seen how it was made social media just a toxic sludge pit. That's basically what we're doing with these ICE agents. When we allow them to wear masks, we are incentivizing them to engage in more bad behavior. These people are wearing masks because they do not want to be held accountable for brutalizing people. So Tim Miller is absolutely right. Dean Cain has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. There are laws on the books. If you are going and harassing police officers who are just carrying out their jobs, there are laws on the books to take care of that. If we need to make those laws a bit more harsh, fine by me. But that doesn't mean we're going to have secret police rolling around this country, all because Donald Trump wants to get his authoritarian rocks off. It is unacceptable in the United States of America. So I really suggest you guys go watch this entire debate. It was fascinating. Tim Miller brings up a lot of really good points that we weren't able to touch on here today. But this whole masked ICE agent thing, it's something that really riles me up. I think it riles up most of the country. I think when you look at the polls, people are not down with what they are seeing with these secret police, these Gestapo-like ICE agents. And we need to continue to call it out. We need to continue to put pressure on these ICE agents. We want to make people second guess whether or not they want to sign up for this agency when they are engaging in unlawful behavior. So definitely suggest you guys go take a look at this whole debate. It was a wild debate, and Tim Miller did a really great job. Even Piers Morgan is understanding that the way that they're operating now, it's just un-American. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We've got to build something here on the left that pushes back against this MAGA media machine that just launders all of these fascistic tactics for the Trump administration day in and day out. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. And if you guys want to go a step above and beyond that and help me produce these videos, we just launched a Substack at politiscape.substack.com. I own the data over there, which is a really nice thing about that platform. And if you don't feel like jumping off to a new platform, you can sign up under memberships right here on YouTube for as little as $3 a month. And as I will continue to say, guys, fighting back against this right-wing media ecosystem, it's got to be a team effort. So I will see you guys on the next one.